All right. Where we at? Ooh, there we go. All right, we're going to get started. It's 2 o'clock, a little after. Al said he needs to eat. Representative Williams there. We'll go ahead and get started. Let me go ahead and make this note. House Bill 390 that's on the agenda is not going to be heard today. She said wanted me to pull it off for today once she does some more preparing. These are all going to be just hearing only. If you haven't signed up yet, if you want to speak on something, there should be a paper somewhere right up here. Sign up, put your name, who you're with, and all that good information on there. All right, Representative Williams, we'll let you go on House Bill 650.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Hang on, let me turn your mic. There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and members of the subcommittee. I'm working from LC 365528, and this really is a very simple bill. It's a bill to show you how long it took to perfect it. It's 14 years in the making. I introduced this bill 14 years ago, but I think it took COVID to show us how good it could be many years later. And in my researching, it's nothing dramatic. Rules will be set by the State Cosmetology Barber Board, and requirements will be established just as they are any place else. It's probably the last activity that's not mobile. I can't even remember them all, but you can give blood, you can go to the dentist, you can see the doctor, you can do a show, you can do x-rays, but most of all, you can buy food off a mobile truck, but you cannot get a haircut. And it's nothing dramatic. Stationary, it will be mobile, subject to the same rules of inspection. Now, one of the things that some barbers have told me, and some people have told me, that how do we inspect them? Very same way you inspect a food truck. You can inspect a food truck and all these others, you can inspect these. Just a few days' notice. So however it's done now. But I do know some of the best food I've ever eaten has been off of a food truck. I'm still here to talk about it, so it hadn't killed me. You can give blood and do all these things. I just want the subcommittee to consider making it possible to get a haircut in Georgia off of a mobile unit. Now, I don't know what the future holds, but this is for barber shops only.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I got a question. Number 11.
Representative Williams.
Yes, sir.
Do you know if there's any opposition to the bill? And if there is any, could you articulate their position?
Well, I don't know of any real opposition. There were some questions that I tried to answer some time ago. I've been actively looking for anyone that's opposed to it. When I first ran for office, Mr. Smith, part of my district was Sapelo Island. There were 22 voters there. That was 22 years ago. I got 21 of the votes, and I'm still looking for the one I missed.
Okay. All right. Do we have anybody signed up to speak on the bill? Let's see, 650. All right. Let's see. Tony West. Yes, sir. Just tell us your name and who you're with.
Good afternoon, committee. Mr. Chairman, Tony West with Americans for Prosperity. Here in support of this bill, I want to thank the sponsor for bringing this to the attention of the committee. We think this will lead to more entrepreneurship, more small business growth, and actually some communities being served, getting their haircuts that maybe they have trouble getting to brick and mortar barbershops. So all around, think this is a good bill. Appreciate your support. Thank you.
All right. Let's see here. Is it Leslie Rose? Did I say your last name right? It looks like they're.
It's Ross Stevens.
Oh, Ross. Okay.
That was I answered to it. I'm here to speak on another bill, but was asked to address this. My background is as a subject matter expert in infection control in the professional beauty industry. My only concern is that we, to your point, have a difficult time doing inspections on a mobile salon. We also have a difficult time, which might be of interest to people, making sure that taxes are paid and that people are doing it safely. So that's my concern.
How do y'all do how often do y'all do inspections now?
I don't work for the state.
Oh, you don't?
Yep,
Okay.
Nope, that would be Kay. I don't have.
Okay, so you got a concern, but you don't have anything to do with it?
No, I have concerns when we talk about it across the board, across the country.
Oh, okay.
Just in terms of the inspection process, I understand, going to the food truck is sitting there every Wednesday at, 2:00. A mobile salon oftentimes would be difficult to find. And so it is a licensed profession. So unlicensed people obviously might not be there the day that you're working, that you're coming to see them for an inspection. And my guess is that a lot of the things that might be found in an inspection would not be an issue then, but those are just my concerns.
Okay, got a question for you.
For me? Okay.
4-liter, McDonald.
Yeah, do you think it might be the question you're concerned about the inspection? Do you think it might be beneficial if you set up a kind of a regional area where these barbers have a certain day that they come and inspect, this set up the times that they come to an area, keep the inspector in one spot, let these mobile units come to that area where that inspector is, and then don't you think that would save taxpayer money from these inspectors driving around trying to find the barbers? Just set it up and whether it's either in this bill or in a rule under cosmetology, if they do it that way.
In Massachusetts, they did this with their nail techs, and the way that they set it up was that the nail techs had to enter their sort of schedule where they were going to be into a database that the board used, and then they had to be there at those times, for inspectors to come and find them in a specific area. So it's kind of what you're talking about, where you would be able to find somebody. That is a better solution.
So you're kind of saying it's doable.
Yes,
Okay.
but.
Do you know some other states that do this already? Is the mobile barber?
Well, people have done it with different. People have done it with different disciplines. Like I said, Massachusetts does it in the city of Boston with their nail techs. They've been doing that, and there are some other states that have mobile salons. Minnesota does it for barbering and cosmetology. There's a few other states.
Okay. All right. Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Would certainly be amenable to this. I can understand the possible ramifications. But we are so technologically advanced, it would be simple as a locator. That
Like
they
a
could have.
GPS,
And
like a
you could
GPS,
go
yeah.
to it any place they are. And that would probably
Yeah.
be the simplest way, because you're not going to be able, if you're going to be competitive, you're not going to be able to pay charge but so much for the haircut. And if they got to drive and spend gas and do that and take the time, but I think a locator, and you can go to it. I drive my car from the house, and my wife can tell me exactly where I stopped. Every time.
So you can't get any fast food without being found out.
That's right.
There you go.
That's right.
Yeah, I think you need that. Those are things that just need to be worked through. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. All right. Do we have anybody else? I think that's it. No, what's we got? Is it just Pankney? Is that the name? Who else signed up to speak on this? On 650? What's your name?
Kay Kendrick.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You're next.
Good afternoon. Y'all have heard me before, and I've spoken on these issues before, and I do have a lot of concerns, and I do have a lot of respect for the senator that introduced the bill and for the purpose of it for entrepreneurship. I truly do. The biggest problem that we have is we have 12 inspectors in the state of Georgia, and our inspectors we have over 97,000 licensees in the state, and we have to inspect them. Our inspectors also inspect funeral homes, used car parts, used cars, cemeteries, and I think there's one other that I've lost. There's no way that we can govern if we have them going all over the state. We have some that we have identified in Gwinnett County, and we have been reported that they're there. We've asked the DMV to give us a driver's license the person who owns it so that we can cite them for illegal practice, because it is illegal right now. We can't get the DMV to work with us where we can find these people. There is no way to track them. And as you said, they can come to a location, and that is true. But by the time they get there, do you honestly think they're going to have illegal people working there, or they're going to have unsanitary practice going on when we get there on a scheduled inspection? It's not going to happen. There's also an issue with hot and cold running water in these facilities. We have to have hot and cold running water to disinfect our tools and to wash our hands to be sanitary. It's not as practical as other things. The other thing is the GPS. We could do GPSs, but they can cut them off. And I don't want to tell your wife, but you can cut yours off. Okay? You can cut them off. Yeah, I know.
Let's meet after on the sidebar over here.
Yeah. You got it. But they can be cut off. And then also, if we're going to do that, then the state's got to allocate more money back to the Board of Cosmetology and Barbers to hire people to monitor those things. And we're just we don't have the resources, we don't have the ability, and I feel like we're endangering the consumers. And it also leaves it open to one other thing that we really need to seriously consider. It leaves it open to crime. In some states, the mobile barbers have been open to drug running, gun running, prostitution, money laundering, and human trafficking. We have a hard time in our nail salons right now with a lot of people that are illegals that are indigenous workers. We find that a lot. I don't know how we would stop it in a mobile facility where it's going area by area. And I feel that we're endangering our consumers. If somebody can come up with a way for us to do it safely, I'm all behind it. But after being in this industry for 45 years, and I've seen this issue come and go, and I've seen the problems that come and go with it, I really think we need to really consider not doing this. And if we're going to do it, then we really have to have some more resources to help us to govern these facilities.
Okay, and who do you represent again?
I'm the chairman of the Cosmetology and Barber Board.
Okay.
But I also am a 45-year salon owner, and I work behind my chair 10 hours a day.
What's the difference, I guess, then, like, taking these people and them going and opening up a regular barber shop in the town?
Because they have to have a license from the city, and before they can have a business license from the city, they have to have a salon license from the state of Georgia.
Well, and this right here, you'd have to have the same thing. It's in the bill.
I understand that, but it's the governing ability. It's not the legal side of it, but it's the governing ability. And we do find illegal practices in all our facilities constantly. And when we can't tell where these people are going to be, even if you put a schedule, then I've got to designate inspectors that are doing nothing but following these schedules.
But you've only got 12
We only have 12.
for 96,000 licensees.
Yes, sir. And they inspect everything else too.
So it's impossible already.
It is a challenge. It is a challenge. We spend a lot of our time inspecting for complaints, and that's how we catch most of the illegal practice.
So how is anything getting inspected now?
It's difficult.
I mean, it's impossible. There's no way. I mean, there's not enough days, not enough hours for 12 people to do 96,000.
I have argued that with legislators for years to give us more people. I really have. And then when they took our inspectors and put them on other divisions, that really divided them out even more. So if you can work on that one for me, you'd be my hero.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, hang on. I got a question for you. I got two. Number 11.
11, yeah. So I do have a quick question. Since you said that you could be for it if you could figure out how to do it safely, do you have any suggestions on how to make this practice safe?
There are a couple of things. The only way we're going to be able to do this and make it safe is we're going to have to work with other law enforcement agencies. You know, if I have someone that's illegally practicing and we notify the city, municipality, even if we have somewhere where they're doing something illegal and we have to pull their license and we do revoke their license, it's an act of Congress to get a city municipality to pull the city business license, even though it's a state law that says you have to have one before you can have the other. You know, they just don't have the time and they don't want to be bothered with it. So unless we can work with other government agencies and all to help work this together, I just don't see how it's safe.
So Mr. Chairman. So the major issue isn't sanitary concerns. It's law enforcement.
It is all of it.
It's all of it.
But
So what are the major sanitary concerns that you could have?
Okay, the biggest thing about sanitary is when you have no governing oversight, people they don't wash their tools. They use the same tools on people multiple times. You open people up for bacteria, funguses, viruses. MRSA is one of the biggest, worst things we have in our salons. Hepatitis B and C, lice, ringworm. There are any number I can tell you that are human contact, hand-by-hand contact. But if your tools are not cleaned and disinfected between each client, you open them up, even in a legal salon, you open them up for issues.
One last thing, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
I'm actually very sympathetic to what you're saying, but I do find it, hard to come to your position to think that, just Georgia citizens are just automatically criminals. Like we're thinking the worst,
I don't
guess,
say
about
that.
them.
I don't say that about everybody. I don't. I said that's the potential. The potential.
I think there's a potential for any business
Yes, sir.
to be, to have problems.
Yes, sir.
But I am sympathetic to it.
But if you don't have oversight, then it's going to be more potential.
Well, but we don't really have oversight now. But let me go back to that. You're talking about y'all don't have the inspectors and that kind of stuff. Why could you not do, like if you get a city license, they've got a city health department, why could we not train some of those people to go do some of these?
Well, they're already overburdened with what they do. But the point would, and they can come into our facilities as a health hazard if they have, enough evidence that they need to, but they leave it to our board to do that, Governor, and to take care of that problem.
Okay.
We just shut a school down over in the Augusta area that was used, an aesthetic school, that were using their students, and they were using illegal medical products on their clientele, and they actually had their students painting walls and folding laundry for them. And when we found out that this was happening, we revoked that license. But it went further than that because the woman that owned it was injecting an off-market Botox into not only clients, but into her children. And so, those are things happen that we govern every day.
Right. And I mean, I understand, like, stuff like that, you're going to have that. It don't matter. If I gave you 12,000 people, you're still going to have that. And I think that a lot of times we just kind of just put blinders on and like, well, we'll make up all the reasons it can't happen. And I'm always kind of like, well, okay, how do we fix it from happening? Mm-hmm. And some of you're just not going to be able to stop. But if it's a 5% of, out of 100 or less, then, I mean, that's just always going to be out there, I feel like. But I think that maybe we need to figure out how to get y'all more inspectors.
Yes, sir.
Or get some help there. One more, my friend Dale Washburn. I was fixing to call you chairman. That's what.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm assuming with the limited number of inspectors you have, there are no routine inspections or inspections done only when there's a complaint?
No, sir. We do routine inspections too. They have an area that they are each one are assigned to, and if they get a complaint in that area, they also go into the facilities that are in that area, and they do their regular inspections. It's just constant that they're always, that we have a lot to inspect. And when I say there are over 97,000 licensees, that's the people licensed to perform the services. The facilities themselves are not that many. And most of these people are concentrated in these facilities unless we find out they're working out of their homes or something like that. So when we go in to inspect a shop that might have 5 and it might have 25 people working in it. So we catch more than just 1 or 2 when we do our routine inspections.
Follow up, Mr. Chairman. Yes. How many locations are there, roughly?
How many facilities?
Facilities.
I can look on my paper and get you that number, but it's not anywhere near the number of people.
Practitioners, okay.
Yes, sir.
But it is a big number.
It is a significant amount, yes.
And there are only 12 inspectors?
And we inspect the schools also.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Is anybody else signed up to speak on this bill? On House Bill 60. Okay. All right. All right, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the committee, and I've heard the concerns, and we're certainly willing to do anything to work with concerns. But unlike cosmetology with females, 95% of the people going to get a haircut, and even less amount of time to shave. It used to be popular. Now, very few people at a barber shave, and the best they do is, and as far as the cleanliness and cleaning, no mobile barber shop should be let in service unless it has a built-in generator for hot water. That's standard. Should be hot water, and you do it every place else. If I can buy a hot dog, I can't get a haircut?
I agree. And maybe that's something we need to put, maybe we need to form some sort of rules in there about what you gotta have, the square
gotta
footage, how
have-
many people can work in it. Something like that. But let's keep working on it. All right. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Hope your lunch is great. Almost dinner time now.
Almost.
All right, so our next bill, House Bill 793, Representative Matt Barton.
Afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I got House Bill 793, and this started a couple of years ago when Speaker Ralston made emphasis on House Bill 1013 and mental health. And this is just to help speed up the process for social workers. This will allow, it's a simple change. It just makes it to where if a social worker already has their 4-year degree, working on their master's, they can take their test in their last semester of school and go ahead and get their test results to pass the results to the state, so then they can hit the ground running once they graduate. That's all it is. Just takes a speed bump out of the way for them.
So you just streamline and get people to go to work.
That's right.
Okay. All right. We've got a couple of people signed up to talk on this. Let's see. Jamie Lord, or is that Land?
It's Lori.
Okay.
More penmanship perhaps, but appreciate it. Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, I represent Georgia Society of Clinical Social Workers, and we're just here to speak in favor of the bill. I don't know that there's much more we need to add beyond what Representative Barton said. There are other similar professions with similar licensure structures as ours that already do this, marriage and family therapists, et cetera. So to your point, we are just trying to get people to work and also fill the gap in the need for mental health services. I think everybody has acknowledged that there is not enough service providers to meet the demand. So if this helps remove some of those barriers, we're happy to see it. Thank
All
you.
right. Well, thank you. All right, and let's see. Is it Jenny Shaw?
Hello, thank
you.
you. I am with the National Association of Social Workers Georgia chapter, and to echo my colleague, I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and we also support this bill to get people to work sooner.
Okay.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you so much. All right. Got anything else on this?
Just so you
Thanks,
know,
good idea.
Just so you know, I got to see my licensed barber yesterday, and he took care of my hair.
I can tell. I can tell. You almost come here looking like me.
Almost.
All right. Well, thank you.
All right,
We'll-
thank you.
We'll hear it, get it into, take a vote on it probably sometime.
Okay.
And I don't know where Jan went. Probably first part of next week. All right. And our last bill. Let's see, House Bill 154, Representative Scott. I hope you brought, it's gonna take, yeah, both of y'all to explain this one to me. I've read through this thing 3 times. I fell asleep twice, but I got there. All right, y'all go ahead there when you get ready.
Give me 1 second. Okay. Thank you, Chairman. House Bill 154, the Cosmetology Licensure Compact, is an interstate occupational licensure agreement designed to streamline the licensing process for cosmetologists. Similar to compacts for driver license, this agreement allows cosmetologists to obtain a multi-state license, enabling them to practice in any state that is part of the compact without obtaining individual licenses for each state. The compact works on the principle of mutual recognition, where each member state acknowledges and accepts
the practitioner licenses issued by other member states. This cosmetology licensure compact is one of several interstate compacts in various professions, aiming to facilitate mobility and consistency in occupational licenses. And I'm going to stop right here. Hope you all got a clear understanding of what this compact licensure compact is. And I will refer to Keith from CSG.
Thank you so much, Representative Scott. I appreciate the invitation to be here today. And good afternoon, Chair Ridley and committee members. Thank you for your time and the opportunity to be here. Yeah, as Representative Scott said, my name is Keith Buckout. I'm a research associate for the Council of State Governments. As you may know, the Council of State Governments is the nation's only national membership organization serving all three branches of state government. And that just means that you all are our members, and so I work for you. To that end, because I work for you, I am neutral on HB 154, the Cosmetology Licensure Compact, and so my testimony today is meant to be informational only. As a bit of background, in 2020, the Department of Defense entered into a cooperative agreement with my organization, the Council of State Governments, to fund the development of new interstate licensure compacts for occupational licensure. And the cosmetology profession was selected through a competitive request for proposals process. CSG is excited to be partnering with the Future of the Beauty Industry Coalition, and you'll hear from our project partner, Leslie Rosti, a little bit later about that. The purpose of this compact, as Representative Scott mentioned, is to create an alternative optional pathway to multi-state practice by allowing cosmetologists who have a single state license in good standing to apply for a multi-state license in their home state. As Representative Scott mentioned, the intent is to have this work just like the driver's license compact. So if you drive across the border into Tennessee, nobody stops you to ask how about your driver's license when you cross the border. You're able to drive in Tennessee by virtue of having a valid driver's license here in Georgia. To be eligible to join the Cosmetology Licensure Compact, a state must obviously license and regulate cosmetology, require that applicants pass a competency examination. It's pretty standard. Require that applicants for licensure satisfy educational or training requirements in cosmetology, and that the states must already have or implement one of three things to consider the background of applicants, and that is either have an application question asking about criminal history, have an application about licensed disciplinary history, or a full background check. From a regulatory perspective, the Cosmetology Licensure Compact preserves the authority of each member state to protect public health and safety through their existing regulatory structure. None of that has changed in this. So any cosmetologist using the compact to provide services here in Georgia must abide by the rules that are already in place here in Georgia. So if somebody operating in Georgia under a multi-state license from another state, for instance, violates the scope of practice, the board can take action here just as they were as if they were taking action against their own licensee. The only difference is because the board didn't issue that license, they are taking action against what's called an authorization to practice. And just like the 8 occupational licensure compacts of which Georgia is already a member, this compact will be governed by a commission consisting of delegates appointed by each member state. And the commission's authority to create rules only extends to effectively administering the compact. It cannot dictate licensing policy to states, so the requirements for getting a license in Georgia remain the same. As Georgia is a state with several military installations, I did want to point out that there is a provision specifically allowing active military members or their spouses additional licensure mobility. And that's just to meet the specific needs of the highly mobile military community. And we don't anticipate substantial costs for states participating in the Cosmetology Licensure Compact. There may be a small assessment for additional software to make sure that the data system for the compact complies and works with the Georgia's existing compact data system. And other than that, the compact would go into effect once the compact is enacted in 7 states. 3 states have already enacted the compact. That's Alabama, Arizona, and Kentucky. Thanks for the opportunity to attend the hearing today, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Okay, before I get to any questions, so if we require, I don't remember the exact number, but 1,250 hours, but then for somebody to come from out of state, then they would have to do the same requirements that would require somebody here to do?
No, as long as their home state, if they have a single state license in their home state, so for instance, let's use Tennessee as the example, whatever their hours of education or training requirement is, if they are able to maintain an active, unencumbered single state license in Tennessee, then they can apply for that multi-state license, and then they, assuming Georgia's a compact member state, they could come and practice here in Georgia.
So
as well.
if in Tennessee, they want to require, let's just say for an example, they require 250 hours, and I live right up next to Tennessee, I could go into Tennessee, get licensed, and then if we're a member of that, then I can come back in Georgia and practice?
Well, probably not, because this compact does have a home state requirement, so you're only able to apply for a multi-state license in the state in which you obviously have a residence. So, for instance, have a driver's license, pay your taxes, registered to vote, that kind of thing. We find that generally is a pretty good deterrent against venue shopping. Most people aren't necessarily willing to move for something like that.
Well, no, I live in Georgia, but I'm right on the Tennessee line.
Sure.
So if their requirements to get licensed there is significantly less than us, could I not go into Tennessee and get my license, and since I live in Georgia, just transfer the license to Georgia?
No, because you have to have an active, unencumbered license in the state of Georgia to be able to, in the state in which you live. So if you still live in Georgia, you would need to have a Georgia license to be able to access the compact. If you lived in Tennessee, you could access the compact that way.
Okay. All right. Got no questions here. Well, I'm interested to hear. Miss Kendrick, let's start with you. Listen, I got about 10 people, so let's try to keep it short, because I got another committee meeting to get to after this.
About, I had some questions, and those questions were answered for me. My biggest concern was that we do educate criminals, incarcerated people, and we have a very good success rate when they come out, they get a job, and they don't reoffend. But we've satisfied that issue because we do ask that question on our licensing. And I was concerned about the financial burden to the state to pay for this, but they've kind of squelched that probably for two. But we already do an endorsement license rather than a reciprocity, where the other states have to have a substantial amount of hours that meet ours, and then we will endorse it. The difference in what this will do for us is it will be a database where if someone's trying to use someone else's name, someone else's license from another state, and they try to come in here, it takes us a while to verify whether it's theirs or not, and sometimes that still slips by us. When you got a database that's this broad, we can just click on a button, we can find out that person's license, we can find out everything we need to know, whether that person is legal in their state and whether we want them to come and work in our state. It gives us more mobility, but it also gives us better governing so that we can stop some of the identity theft and some of the criminal activity that happens within, stealing licenses and stealing people's names. And it does happen quite often. It takes us a long time to get another state to respond back to us sometimes. And sometimes it's a paper trail. They have to do it by paper. This is a click of a button and we can find out what we need. So I think we are very much in favor of it, especially with our movie industry today, with people coming in and out and doing things. I think it would benefit that industry a lot, but I think it would benefit people who want to live in the north in the summer and the south in the winter. So I think that would benefit those people also. So we are in favor of the bill.
Okay. All right, let's see here. Got several people. Keith, is it?
That was me.
Oh, that's you. Okay. You're already speaking, then you didn't have to sign this sheet up. Let's see. Leslie. Ross.
Rusty.
Yeah.
We did that the first
I'm not
time.
good with this.
Thank you, Representative Scott. Members of the committee and Chairman Ridley, I'm Leslie Rosti. I represent the Future of the Beauty Industry Coalition. It's a collective of companies that provide beauty services in multiple states. So think about things like Great Clips, Sport Clips, Ulta, places that have pretty much a national presence. One of our coalition pillars is licensed mobility, and compacts are the only version of true bidirectional mobility, the only type that actually benefits the constituents of the state, your residents, your constituents in the state of Georgia, allowing them to go where they need to go when they need to go there, as well as allowing people to come into your state. Currently, there's multiple reciprocity models across the country. They vary widely how they are applied. So they're rather confusing, but as Kay said, you have an endorsement model. This endorsement model has a couple things that make it sound like it's easy, but maybe it's not so easy. I think there'll be some business owners that will share with you. You do have to get letters from all of the states that you have any license in. So if you hold licenses in 5 states, you have to have letters of certification from those 5 states, and you can imagine how time-consuming that might be. But you also, this is a significant thing, you have to have passed a written and a practical in English and no other language. There are a lot of states out there that will give their exam in even 16 languages, right? And so we have people coming into this country every day. They are doing their jobs legally, abiding by the rules. They simply cannot pass an exam written in English, and that would be a barrier for them. From a simple logistics standpoint, the compact legislation was passed in Alabama the last session, and we anticipate legislation this session still in Tennessee and North Carolina. So in areas like Columbus, Georgia, Chattanooga, Tennessee, and the Fort Benning area, this would make a huge difference for your licensees. One of the concerns that you just addressed that I hear about all the time is the requirement of fewer hours. Prior to this, the reason I got put on that last bill is that I was a subject matter expert in infection control. And one of the things I would say to you is that in the core curriculum and cosmetology programs all across the country, the piece that you are responsible for when you license somebody is health and public safety. It's how do I keep someone safe? And that is done in the core curriculum, which is typically the first 500 hours. Anything beyond that is just practice. So anyone coming into your state, for them to pass the national exam, they had to have that health and public safety. So if they have 1,000 hours and you have 1,500, not that big of a deal. The trend in the industry is to go to 1,000 hours, 1,200 hours, so I suspect you'll see more and more of that coming in anyway. Across the country, we have support from schools, independent salons and chain salons, licensees, the military, the Professional Beauty Association, and I encourage you to vote favorably on House Bill 154.
Okay, but you're saying that we need to speed up the process of getting the licensing from other states?
There would be, it wouldn't even just speed up. There would be no, anytime I have to stop at the board, even if I need to do one thing, fill out one form, that is time that is potentially
So
a hang-up.
what would be your suggestion on that portion of the bill?
On them moving freely?
Right.
I'm support of that.
So if they've got license in Tennessee, just let them come here, no background check, no nothing?
Well, they would have had to have done that in Tennessee. If Tennessee's a member state, they would have had to have whatever Tennessee, it's like your driver's license, right? I happen to come from Kansas.
So when they signed up in Tennessee, they had to have a background check?
They had to do one of those 3 things. They had to ask about their criminal history, they had to ask about their license history, and they had to do a criminal background check.
So if they were in Tennessee for 3 years cutting hair, now they want to come to Georgia, they should just be able to come, not have to do another background check?
They would just come and work. But remember, the compact is not intended to be permanent. It's intended to be a temporary solution. If they move their house to Georgia, if they come live in Georgia, they have to get a Georgia license.
So what's temporary? Is there a time limit?
Well, that's what the initial commission would set those rules, and if Georgia passes in this session, they would sit on the initial commission and help make those rules. So somebody from your state would sit at the table and help make the decision on, is it when you have to get your driver's license? Is it when your license expires? Certainly when your license expires, you wouldn't be able to renew it in a state you no longer live in because you don't have an address in that state anymore. So,
oh, well.
And it's done, look, this is always been done in healthcare. I'm a nurse, and I'm a member of the Nurses Compact that's 20 years old and in 40 states. So back to the bill before, the bill 2 bills ago, if I can work as a nurse in multiple states where I arguably could hurt people much more readily, I should be able to go and cut hair in other states. So.
Okay, well, thank you.
Any questions?
I think we're good. Okay. Let's see. All right, Marcus McDowell, I'm sorry, McDaniel. Go ahead.
Thank you to the committee. Thank you, Chairman, for allowing us here today. I'm Marcus McDaniel. I'm a Sport Clips small business owner with 7 salons spanning across the Atlanta metro area. I'm here today in support of House Bill 154, the Cosmetology Licensure Compact. We've worked hard to provide good paying wages, competitive benefits, and a positive work environment to attract talented cosmetologists in a very competitive industry. But one thing that we've always struggled with was getting a new Georgia resident on the cutting floor as quickly as possible. Since I opened my first salon 9 years ago, I've never allowed a professional to cut hair without a Georgia license. However, we've made countless offers to new Georgia residents that were contingent on their successful transfer of an out-of-state license. We provide resources for potential new team members from neighboring states on how to navigate Georgia licensing and to help expedite the process. Cass Acker, a salon manager in Decula, moved to Georgia from Montana in June of 2019 to escape the frigid weather. Luckily, she had the foresight to submit her application for a Georgia license in April of that year, because even though she came from a state with more stringent license requirements, the process took almost 2 months and was finalized just before her move. Regardless of the state of licensure, all cosmetology students have learned the core health and public safety requirements during their first 500 hours of instruction. We want safe, health-conscious professionals who adhere to the rules and regulations that are unique to the state of Georgia, but they shouldn't lose their ability to work by simply crossing the state line. In the same way that I'm able to drive across the U.S. while adhering to state and local laws, a cosmetology licensure compact would allow those new residents to immediately unpack their shears and clippers and begin to build their new life in Georgia while awaiting their license. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. All right. I got like 2 people from Great Clips and 2 people from Sport Clips. Do all y'all want to talk, or y'all on the same page?
It's up to you.
Okay.
You make the call.
Well, in a matter of time, I figure both. If one says they're for it, there's one says.
We're on the same page, but I feel like it can be really, really quick.
Well, come on.
I'll just piggyback off that, what you said.
Actually, I got 3. Great Clips is highly represented. I got 3 or 4 of y'all here. So.
Well, thank you, committee. I appreciate this. What I wanted to do then is I'll jump straight to some examples. I have salons in both Georgia and Alabama, and all these employees are all under the same, umbrella. And I live in Columbus, Georgia, Fort Moore, formerly Fort Benning, and often, and these examples I have, they're of the last 3 months. I probably had to cut 6 examples, and I've got 4 quick ones for you. So the number of times that we lose an employee, or I'm sorry, a potential employee that moves in the military, that moves to Columbus and just sees the process itself, even though I try to educate them through it, there's still those times when they say, you know what, I'm not even sure how long we're going to be there, so I'm going to go just work in a restaurant or somewhere else. We tend to lose them from that standpoint. Another thing that I run into a great deal of is being able to fully and gainfully employ someone as a full-time employee with the benefits. And how I can achieve that is allowing them to go between, but that state lines in the middle. Because I also own a salon in Auburn, Alabama, which is about 50 minutes, and they live in the middle. So for their situation, it's real easy to go to either one. So I tend to see those team members go to other jobs, other gigs, and therefore become part-time instead of fully employed and getting full-time benefits. The other one I'd mention to you is Antoinette was an employee of mine that asked and needed to go help her siblings take care of her parents for a month, just a month. Realized that I own a salon in that area. She said, can I go there? Yes, of course, but the license was the hiccup. The time frame she needed to go, she was not able to go because of the transfer process would have taken too long. She ended up burning up all her vacation and actually going a couple weeks without pay because of it, but we tried to help her as much. My last example is a lady named Audra Kane. She ended up, her son passed away, so she became the sole provider, and she had full custody of her grandson. Her grandson, she obviously needed to keep that kid in a stable environment in his current school. Jay-Sean then couldn't, though, because she was the sole provider and needed to make money, so she had to stay where she was in that salon. And that ended up taking her about 8 weeks before she could actually move. So Jay-Sean missed 8 weeks of school just because it took this process. And I know it can go faster than that, don't get me wrong. But with her work schedule and being able to deal with the environment of everything that was going on, it ended up just making it that much longer. So to me, I think of all of those, just those 4, and they really are in the last, 3 months. Those are real people that have been impacted just because we don't adopt something that I think would truly help and benefit their lives.
Now, you said you got places in Alabama?
Yes, sir.
And they've entered into this compact, correct?
They have now.
How easy is it to go from,
I think they both be in it, but.
Well, the compact requires 7 states before it can activate and set up the commission to be able to issue the multi-state licenses. So once we reach that 7th state, then we'd be able to set up the commission, create the data system, and get states to be able to issue those multi-state licenses. But Alabama was just among the first set of states last year.
oh, okay. So we don't have,
hasn't-
we don't have
It's
nobody,
not
even-
operating yet.
so we're going to enter into something we don't even know if it's going to work or not.
Well, that's fair. That's a fair point. I would say that Georgia has a pretty good track record with occupation.
So who else passed it already? Alabama?
Alabama, Arizona, and Kentucky.
They've already passed it. And you got Tennessee and North Carolina
Well,
that's looking at it.
We have heard that there's interest from an elected official in those states to introduce the legislation.
All right. Well, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Real quick.
Can I be quick?
Yeah, I mean, real quick. Well, yeah, we got another.
So my name is Greg Thomas. I own 62 Great Clips hair salons, most of them in Georgia, and then I own the south part of South Carolina, the north part of Florida, and with that east side of Alabama. We run through these issues all the time. Let me say this first. My goal as a business owner, I want our stylist, I want to have the highest effective wage in the market. The average wage in our salons last week was about $31.72. We all really care about our stylist. But something that happens often, just a quick example, you've already heard a bunch. Heather McMiller was coming down from Indiana. She was fleeing an abusive husband. She had her 14-year-old kid in the car, the U-Haul actually, and she made it all the way to Savannah, but she's not allowed to cut hair for 4 to 6 to 8 weeks. I don't think that's fair. I had another one, Guadalupe Mudd. That's not a nice name, but that is her name. She'd been cutting hair for 40 years. She moved out to Savannah. She's licensed in 5 states. She couldn't get a license she never got a license. She finally ended up retiring. Why? Because Guadalupe spoke perfect English, but she couldn't read and write English very well. So she failed the test 8 times, which is just ridiculous. You're short on time, but I could go on and give more examples.
I think I get your point. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people coming in that just can't get a license. And listen, I've got people, as you heard her say, we've only got so many people. I've got people that's graduating school. I probably get one a month that's graduating beauty school, getting out and waiting. They've got a chair set and waiting for somewhere, and they can't get their license. And then you have to call, and it's 30, 60 days. And I mean, they've already turned all their paperwork in. They got the date on it turned in, all that kind of stuff. And they're pretty good to work with us, because I'm calling asking about this one person, but how many others is out there? So that's the only thing that I'm kind of thinking about. Until we fix that problem, even if we do pass this, how's it, if they can't get the license out, you're still going to be stuck in the same position.
But it takes 4 to 6 weeks after that. They've already got a license in South Carolina and Florida and Alabama. I've got all my stores like on the board. I shouldn't say all of them, a lot of them. As one of the other gentlemen was saying, he's got a licensed stylist in Auburn, Alabama. She's got 20 hours over there, but they need some help because they're having a big haircut sale over in Columbus. They can't even cross state lines and cut hair.
So how is it like if they move to Florida? Is it easier to get their license? Are they waiting 4 to 6 weeks?
They're all waiting 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
I'm not saying Georgia's bad, but they're all waiting 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
I think we ought to do anything we can to help these stylists put food on their table right away. They
Oh, I
can't.
agree.
They live paycheck to paycheck, and waiting 4 to 6 weeks for paperwork to be filed is just too long, in my opinion.
I agree with you. And I think, if y'all are probably short just like everybody else is of people, and I think everybody here wants to get people working. Got any questions? Okay, we're just here and only. We're not going to vote on. We'll have another meeting, kind of go through some things. I've got to get my head around this thing and what it's doing. But y'all helped me out a whole lot by telling me, hey, we've got to have 7 states to enter into it. But thank you for coming. Thank y'all for your time.
Thanks for your time, and to come down here. I mean, this is very important to the salon owners, not just me. all
Oh,
the
trust me,
salon
I got a
owners.
sister-in-law at home that's probably watching right now just to make sure I ain't messing up nothing.
Thanks.
Okay.
That's your stylist.
That's my stylist. Yes, I'm actually y'all's worst nightmare. Y'all go broke on somebody like me. Let's see. Did I miss anybody on this? I think that's it. Is everybody good? All right. Well, we're going to adjourn. We'll be meeting, figure out what we're going to do on taking a vote between now and next Tuesday. Well, watch your calendars. We'll have another meeting. Thank y'all for coming. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you need to say?
Stylist, so it's a different approach, maybe.
Yeah, are you on the list right here?
I am.
Okay, well, come on up here right quick. Tell me your name.
My name is Chatelle Pinckney, and thank you all for taking the time to speak with it, to
Oh, I'm
listen to
sorry.
me today.
It had great clips on here, so I just thought you were one of the owners too.
No, I am the recruiting and education manager with Great Clips. So the thing that really touches me in this particular House bill is I am a stylist. I've been a stylist for 37 years, and I moved here from Tennessee. It took me almost 3 months to become licensed in Georgia. So making sure that, you know, you can still provide for your families. I speak to over 1,400 students a year. It's really important that we do this, that we definitely set the tone for how important this industry really is. It can make or break the industry. People leave the industry every day simply because they cannot provide for their families, and this is one of the hardships. This is a huge deterrent, and if we bridge the gap and make sure that these people continue to work and provide for their families while waiting on documentations to be processed and submitted properly, I think that would make all the difference in how well this industry can continue to grow.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And thank y'all for all coming. And like I said, we'll have a meeting and figure out where we're going to go. Thank y'all. Have a good afternoon.
How did I do? Did I do a good job? They were rough on you. Wow.
They always are.